On this week's Goal Show, international football as the European nations prepare to start World Cup qualifying. Neymar returns for Santos for a Derby Day date in the Campeonato Brasileiro. The best of Major League Soccer, where the San Jose Earthquakes are leading the way. And can anyone stop Lippi's Guangzhou Evergrande in China? First to Scandinavia.
Fresh from his cameo appearance in the closing ceremony for the Olympics, Pelé was guest of honour for Brazil's friendly in Sweden on Wednesday. Back at the Roundup Stadium in the suburbs of Stockholm, the venue for Brazil's 1958 World Cup final against Sweden, in which Pelé scored twice in a 5-2 win. The Roundup is to be demolished in November. Pelé was amongst several former players from either nation who featured in that famous final, invited along for this commemorative match. 5 days on from their surprise defeat to Mexico in the gold medal match at the Olympics in London, Brazil had several members of their under-23 squad playing here, and two of them combined as the South Americans took a first-half lead. Neymar crossing for Leandro Damião to head in, as the Internacional striker continued his productive form in front of goal. Struggling without the talismanic influence of the injured Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Sweden created little until shortly before half-time. Marcus Berg producing a smart save from new Milan recruit Gabriel in the Brazil goal. Brazil's commanding display continued into the second half. Dani Alves forcing a save from Andreas Isaksson as they pushed for a second. Sweden managed to keep Brazil at bay until Alexandre Pato replaced Damião and had an immediate impact, scoring from close range after being teed up by Alves. The home team's cries for offside in vain. Pato then drew a foul from Pontus Wernbloom to win a penalty for Brazil. And despite slipping, the Milan striker managed to convert the penalty. 2 goals in 2 minutes, ending Sweden's challenge, with the home side still reeling from their early exit at Euro 2012. They'll hope for better when they start their World Cup qualifying campaign at home to Kazakhstan next month. For Brazil, a welcome win following their failure to take gold at the Olympics, on a night they said goodbye to the venue of one of their most famous victories of all time.
Following their Euro 2012 heartache, which saw them lose in the semi-finals to Spain, Portugal warmed up for the start of their World Cup qualifying campaign with a home friendly against Panama. Playing in the Algarve, Portugal took a first-half lead when Nelson Oliveira found the top corner after some fine individual skill. Paulo Bento's team had failed to impress before then against a Panama team ranked 54th in the world. But moments after they'd gone in front, Cristiano Ronaldo forced visiting goalkeeper Jaime Penedo into a save. And before half-time, Ronaldo crossed superbly, only for Oliveira to waste the opportunity. Panama were reduced to 10 men after the restart when Gabriel Gomez lashed out at João Moutinho. And he was barely off the pitch when Ronaldo's blistering effort found the net as Portugal finally doubled their lead. Nani later hit a post as Portugal threatened to add some more gloss to the scoreline, but 2-0 is how it stayed. Portugal start their World Cup qualifying campaign away to Luxembourg on the 7th of September.
After taking over from Slaven Bilic as Croatia's head coach, Igor Stimac was hoping for a good start to his tenure as they welcomed Switzerland to Split. But following their agonising elimination in the group stages in the European Championship, Croatia began sluggishly. Switzerland, who failed to qualify for Euro 2012, taking the lead in the 11th minute. Granit Xhaka's emphatic finish making it 1-0. Croatia responded well though, and former Arsenal striker Eduardo provided a stylish equaliser. However, Ottmar Hitzfeldt's team regained their lead when Bayern Munich's Xherdan Shaqiri hit the post and captain Tranquillo Barnetta followed up. Shaqiri was a constant menace and he crossed for Mario Gavranovic to add a third after half-time as Switzerland seized upon more poor Croatia defending. Eduardo nodded in a second for Croatia, but the Shakhtar Donetsk striker could do no more to alter the scoreline, even after the introduction of Real Madrid-bound midfielder Luka Modric as a sub. Gavranovic's thumping second capped a fine display from the Swiss, who begin their World Cup qualifying campaign away to Slovenia next month. For Stimac, who played in England for Derby and West Ham before having a spell as a pop singer in his native country, there's plenty to ponder. Macedonia are Croatia's first obstacle on the road to Brazil 2014.
The likes of Ecuador and Chile are well on the way to determining their World Cup qualifying fate. The two South America rivals met in New York on Wednesday night, ahead of the resumption of their campaigns next month. The game was the third of its kind to be played at Citi Field, home of the New York Mets baseball team. With the Big Apple home to more than 100,000 Ecuadorian natives, a crowd of more than 30,000 turned out despite the heavy rain. Buoyed by that support, Ecuador took an early lead when Manchester United's Antonio Valencia crossed for Narciso Minya to score. Jaime Ayovi was next to benefit from Valencia's wing play, collecting a pass and finishing well. Ayovi was unlucky not to add another, denied by Miguel Angel Pinto's save. Chile are currently top of the South American qualifying group with Ecuador fourth. That wasn't apparent here as Ecuador added another in the second half. Jefferson Montero profiting from some hesitant defending. And that's how it finished as Ecuador secured a morale-boosting win ahead of their World Cup qualifier against Bolivia next month. Chile's next opponents are Colombia, a game in which they'll need significant improvement to their performance in New York. Elsewhere in midweek, Fabio Capello's first game in charge of Russia saw them held by the Ivory Coast. Didier Deschamps' debut as France boss also ended in a draw. Lionel Messi was among the goal scorers as Argentina beat Germany, while Louis van Gaal started his second spell in charge of the Netherlands with defeat to Belgium.
Jack Rodwell's transfer to Manchester City kicks off our roundup of last week's major news stories from around the world. The 21-year-old became the Premier League champions' first summer signing last Monday after leaving Everton for an initial fee of £12 million. On Tuesday, 2011, French champions Lille opened the doors to their new 50,000 capacity home, the Grand Stade Lille Metropole. Lille have spent nearly €300 million on the arena, which boasts the first retractable roof in France, as well as a movable pitch. Fabrice Muamba announced on Wednesday the sad news he was retiring from football on medical grounds. The Bolton Wanderers midfielder suffered a cardiac arrest in March, with doctors saying later he was effectively dead for more than an hour. Headlines on Thursday and Friday were dominated by Robin van Persie's £24 million move from Arsenal to Manchester United. Arsenal boss Arsene Wenger said he was powerless to stop the 29-year-old leaving after 8 years with the London club.
The situation is simple. We regret we have lost a great player. And for one simple reason is that he had only 1 year left on his contract and he wanted to go.
It's always difficult to find a perfect match, but I do feel that this is the perfect match for me. Manchester United breathes football. if you look at all the players from Manchester United and the stadium, the manager, my choice was made very soon in my mind.
And on Saturday it was revealed that Van Persie wouldn't be the only player leaving Arsenal. The club confirmed they'd agreed a fee with Barcelona for midfielder Alex Song. And on Sunday, Athletic Bilbao fueled speculation surrounding the future of Spanish international Fernando Llorente. The 27-year-old, along with defender Javi Martinez, were left out of Athletic's Primera Division opener against Real Betis. Both have been linked with moves away from the club.
Coming up in part 2 of this week's Goal Show, Santos take on Corinthians as two of Brazil's heavyweights go head-to-head. And there's the story of a rather bad-tempered game in Major League Soccer. Welcome back to this week's Goal Show. Still to come, the San Jose Earthquakes head to Canada in Major League Soccer. And Jiangsu Sainty look to keep their title dreams alive in China.
Fluminense hosted Sport Recife in the Campeonato Brasileiro on Saturday, knowing a win would put them level on points with league leaders Atlético Mineiro. After only managing a 1-1 draw in their last match against Cruzeiro, the 2010 champions were keen to ensure maximum points, squaring up to a team battling relegation. And the home side looked the brighter team in the first half despite a long list of absentees, including former Chelsea and Barcelona star Deco. Rafael Sobis almost put Fluminense a goal up, but his chip went the wrong side of the post. The visitors rarely threatened and looked to be holding out for a draw. They looked on course for just that until the turning point arrived with just over 10 minutes to go. Recife defender Toby saw red following a hefty challenge on Thiago Neves. And minutes later, Fluminense finally got the break they deserved in front of goal. Samuel Rosa flicked in Carlinhos' cross to put the host 1-0 up. And Fluminense saw out the remaining minutes against Recife's 10 men to take all 3 points and enhance their title aspirations.
Last week proved a very busy one for Santos star Neymar. Fresh from the Olympics, he played for Brazil in Sweden, then returned to his home country to help his club win at Figueirense barely 48 hours later. And on Sunday, he was in action again as Santos looked to climb the table at home to their great rivals Corinthians. And the hosts went into the Clásico Alvinegro, or Derby of Stripes, in good form, having lost only one of their previous 5 league outings. But Santos fell behind as the half-hour mark approached, when Douglas's free kick was expertly headed in by Corinthians' Danilo. Santos responded well and drew level just 8 minutes later. Neymar picked the ball up just inside the Corinthians half and went on a typically impressive foray into a threatening position. The striker picked out Andre, who had the simplest of tasks to make it 1-1. Four minutes into the second half, the home side took the lead in controversial circumstances. Andre finished from close range, but replay suggested he'd been in an offside position. Defending national champions Corinthians recently won the Copa Libertadores for the first time, but their league form has been poor. Here they didn't let apparent injustice affect them, and they managed to fashion an equaliser inside the final 10 minutes. Juan Martinez sending a curling effort beyond the dive of Santos keeper Cabral. But the drama wasn't over as Santos seized upon a late opportunity. Neymar's pinpoint corner was headed in by Bruno Rodrigo to win the derby for the home team. Elsewhere, during the 19th round of fixtures, former Manchester City striker Joe was on target as leaders Atlético Mineiro edged past Botafogo, while unfancied Grêmio maintained their hopes of qualifying for the Copa Libertadores with a win against Figueirense. Atlético Mineiro lead the way ahead of Fluminense and Vasco da Gama. 3 points separate the top two, who've both lost just one game so far. Luis Felipe Scolari's Palmeiras are the biggest side under pressure at the bottom, paying for a slow start to the campaign.
In Major League Soccer, the Seattle Sounders were looking to boost their Western Conference playoff chances as they hosted the Vancouver Whitecaps on Saturday. Seeking a third win in 4 league games, Seattle struggled to break down the visitors in a tight first half. Their best effort was this long-range strike by the former Fulham striker Eddie Johnson. The Whitecaps also had an opportunity to take the lead midway through the first half. Scotland international Kenny Miller won the ball and fed Darren Mattocks, but the forwards' effort rolled wide. There was relief for the home fans just after the hour mark as Freddie Montero gave the Sounders the breakthrough. It was the Colombian's 8th goal of the season and his 5th after coming on as a substitute this year. The Whitecaps thought they'd equalised through Mattocks with less than 10 minutes remaining, but the goal wasn't given after he was adjudged to have fouled Jeffrey Park. The Sounders went on to wrap up victory late on. A cross from Brad Evans finding Johnson unmarked in the area. His 11th goal of the season, sealing another win for the Sounders. Seattle have now lost just one of their last 8 league games.
Elsewhere, Western Conference leaders, the San Jose Earthquakes, face a difficult trip to play the Montreal Impact. And it ended up a fiery encounter at the Saputo Stadium. Montreal defender Hassoun Kamara set the tone early on, lashing out at Steven Lenhart. Kamara was sent off, before Lenhart also saw red for his part in the scuffle, with the referee awarding a penalty to San Jose as well. Troy Perkins was given no chance by Chris Wondolowski as the Earthquakes took a 1-0 lead. It didn't take long for the host to reply. 2 minutes later, Italian Marco Di Vaio equalised from a cross by Felipe Martins, just getting ahead of Lamar Nagel. It was the former Juventus star's 2nd MLS strike since joining the club in June. In the second half, Nagel also impressed in front of goal. Patrice Bernier produced some clever footwork on the edge of the box before finding Nagel, who curled his shot past goalkeeper John Bush. It was Nagel's 2nd goal of the campaign as well. More drama followed. In the 71st minute, San Jose's Jason Hernandez brought down Di Vaio in the area. Hernandez was sent off for denying a clear scoring opportunity. Bernier's penalty made the final score 3-1 to Montreal, the newest team in Major League Soccer.
On Sunday night, the New York Red Bulls put their unbeaten home record on the line as they hosted the Portland Timbers. Without an away win all season long, the Timbers, for whom leading scorer Chris Boyd started on the bench, made a blistering start. Bright DK buried a low cross from Sal Zizzo as the Western Conference's bottom side took an 8th-minute lead. Things got even better for the Oregon club when a fine flowing move ended with Liberian Darlington Nagbe's finish. With their unbeaten home record in serious jeopardy, New York hit back, with Kenny Cooper heading in a Jan Gunnar Solly cross. Cooper's 14th goal of the season, coming against the team that traded him last January. And the Red Bulls levelled in rather controversial circumstances a minute later. Dax McCarty's shot deflected off defender David Horst's outstretched arms, with the referee pointing to the spot, only for Tim Cahill to rattle the ball home. The goal stood as the referee changed his mind. Portland's protests fell on deaf ears. It was Cahill's first in MLS since moving to the Red Bulls from Everton. That's the way it stayed until the final stages, with Portland walking a tightrope after squandering several chances on the break. Heath Pearce's header from another Solly cross completed New York's comeback. Portland tried in vain for an equaliser, attempting to salvage something from a game in which they performed well. Rod Wallace's off-target header in stoppage time was the closest they got. Elsewhere in MLS over the weekend, Sporting Kansas City won 1-0 at Toronto to continue their quest for honours, while a late goal gave Dallas a fine 2-1 away win at Real Salt Lake. Juan Pablo Angel's 83rd minute equaliser earned Chivas a 1-0 draw with Colorado. Sporting Kansas City are top in the East with the Red Bulls in hot pursuit, while Mariners Toronto remain bottom after their latest defeat. With 47 points, San Jose are the leading side in MLS and they top the Western Conference by 5 points. Real Salt Lake and Seattle complete the automatic qualification places for the playoffs, with the regular season set to conclude in late October.
In China, the Super League season has entered its final straight, with Marcelo Lippi's Guangzhou Evergrande side in pole position to win a second successive title. With a healthy 3-point lead at the top, they took their championship bid to mid-table Changchun Yatai on Saturday. Argentinian forward Dario Conca is spearheading Guangzhou's efforts, and his 49th minute goal put them ahead here. The former Fluminense player, a title winner in Brazil in 2010, has said he'll stay in China until at least the end of the season, after changing his mind over a transfer request. Brazilian Cleo made it 2-0, and Lippi's team looked set for a routine win. That was until Zhao Zhulin struck in the 89th minute for a Changchun Yatai team without a win in 4. But Guangzhou held on to move a step closer to the title. While that was going on, Evergrande's closest competitors in the race for the championship, Jiangsu Sainty, played host to second-bottom Shanghai Shenxin. Beaten just 3 times all season, Jiangsu was stunned half an hour in when Wang Yung's free kick found the target. But Shenxin's lead lasted barely 15 minutes, as Jiangsu's Romanian striker Christian Danilach was bundled to the floor by Zhu Zhongting before the break. Danilach picked himself up to score the penalty himself. An 18th goal of the season for the Chinese Super League's leading goal scorer, but despite their best second-half efforts, Jiangsu were held to a damaging draw. Elsewhere, Didier Drogba and Nicolas Anelka failed to fire as Shanghai Shenhua drew with Dalian Shide. Yakubu was among the scorers again, though, as he helped Guangzhou RNF to a 4-2 win over Shandong Luneng. With 8 rounds of the season left, Guangzhou have a 5-point lead at the top. Lippi's attentions now turn to a midweek semi-final tie in the Chinese FA Cup, with an AFC Champions League quarter-final on the horizon as well.
That's just about it for this week's show. Just time to tell you about our Goal of the Week vote on goal.com. Last week's winner was Dirk Kuyt's first goal for new club Fenerbahce during their Champions League qualifier against Vaslui in Romania. Each week we pick out 5 goals and ask you to choose your favourites. First up this week is Cristiano Ronaldo's sublime strike for Portugal against Panama. Goal 2 comes from the boots of Eduardo, his thumping effort for Croatia in their contest with Switzerland. Samuel Rosa's clever flick for Fluminense against Sport Recife is goal 3. Liberian Darlington Nagbe's strike for Portland Timbers in New York is goal 4, owing much to a fine team move. And Wang Yun's stunning free kick for Shanghai Shenxin against Jiangsu in China is goal 5. So there's your choices. To vote for your favourite, simply head to the video section on goal.com.
On next week's Goal Show, we pay a visit to Deportivo La Coruña following their return to the top flight in Spain. And there'll be highlights of the second round of matches in the group stages of the CONCACAF Champions League.